with a bunch of challenges. But luckily enough, the Most High got us blessed, giving us a grace that we naturally possess. So why do we sit around acting like we don't? Got so many gifts that we naturally own. We get here for greater things, we can feel it in the soul. Gotta go deep, gotta search the unknown.
Yes, this is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. The songwriter of this particular transformation song is Michelle Kendall, a.k.a. Shirley K. Yes. Co-writer, Dr. Kwaku L. Carlisle Woods, and RNMD, Met D1.
Me.
And then there's Kendall, KK, a.k.a. KK, and then myself, Dr. Hamida Rockman Woods, and a.k.a. Essie Bassett.
Yes, that's her.
You already know what time it is. It's time for Voice It Radio, and you're listening to Humanity 3.0. Humanity 3.0 is sponsored by Prometheus Reborn Universal Foundation, whose mission is to spread the trivalent understanding, no ethics, created, I should say, uncovered by Dr. Kwaku L. Carlisle Woods, RN, MD, Met D1. Yes, yeah. This show has been rated as high as the second most listened to show, online radio show on the planet. It includes or features stand-up philosophy that includes comedy, culture, anthropology, science, history, psychodrama, and music, usually self-performed by the Hip Hop Trio through Prometheus Reborn Universal Foundation and Global Entertainment.
Absolutely.
I have the PH, and he has the M. We both have D's. That makes us Doc², and we're the hosts of this show. Today's title is...
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
The truth is...
Yes, the truth is. Now, I remember this movie back in 1992, directed, believe it or not, by Rob Reiner. I loved his father. It's called A Few Good Men. It had Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, a whole bunch of folks in there. But one of the best lines in that movie, one of the best remembered lines, is Tom Cruise saying, "I want the truth! I want the truth!" And Jack Nicholson saying, "You can't handle the truth." Okay, that's where we're going.
Very good.
But first, Hip Hop Trio Plus, Transcultural Adventure. That's Saturday, January 29th in Twinsburg at the Chinese
Fun Buffet.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to be killing it.
Yeah, from 6 to 10 p.m.
Yes, we're going to be killing it. COVID. Everybody's pretty much almost gotten used to COVID after 2 years. Omicron is decreasing in hospitalizations and deaths. But there's something that Dr. Borchet made us aware of, a Nature Genetics brief communication that says the loss of taste and smell that accompanies COVID is associated with a genetic disorder found primarily in those of European ancestry. And it may also be associated with so-called long-haul COVID. Dr. Borchet says, "So glad God made me black." Oh. Well, I'm Alkebulanese.
She said African, really.
She said African?
Yeah,
okay.
she did.
Well, hey, we're Alkebulanese. We're not black. We're not African.
That's right.
Okay, but back to the title. All right. Boris Epstein, who is Line 44.5 Lawyers, was seen on The Beat, Ari Melber's show, and he says, "Yeah, we did all that stuff y'all accused us of, but we fought for the truth." I took issue with that. So, first thing I did was define truth. Truth defines the quality or state of being true, that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. Belief accepted as truth. Now, truth is the body of real events or facts. Truth is proven by facts. Truth is the glue that holds relationships and societies together. Lying and hypocrisy tears them apart. The truth is not. The correspondence theory or the semantic theory of Tarski and Davidson or the deflation theory of Fring and Ramsey. Now, hold on. Correspondent theories of truth states that truth or falsity is determined only by how it relates to and accurately describes that world. What world? It doesn't say. Semantic theory of truth states that linguistic truth holding that truth is a property of sentences. What is truth being a property of sentences have anything to do with fact? I don't know, but truth ain't that. The deflationary theory of truth states that assertions of truth of a statement do not attribute truth to that statement. That means saying it's true doesn't make it so. Okay. These all confuse and mislead and are used by people who are not only ignorant, which means they don't understand. Obviously, they don't understand if these are their theories of truth, but also people who are stupid. They don't want to understand. And one of the major things they don't want to understand is the truth. Truth is not what you want. Truth is not what you believe. Truth is not what you hope reality to be. This leads to destruction. Now, truth and pink people are not really closely associated. Pink people have never wanted to admit that they are the most juvenile subspecies of humanity. A book by Niccolo Machiavelli called The Prince. He's taught all European rulers no truth in place of power. This was written in 1532, and it is said to be the father of modern political science. Republican political science. Machiavelli said, if you worry about what you should be, you may lose power over what you are. So he wasn't even about truth in any way, shape, or form. Pink people have been kind of into that, like Machiavelli. No truth regarding history, mankind's, what they are, what they have done. Let's look at a book that talks about truth. I refer to the Judeo-Christian book called the Bible, in which Paul, the I guess Apostle Paul, though he really wasn't, talking to Timothy, and he states, 2 Timothy 3, 1-5. Number 1, but understand this, that in the last days there will come times of great difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, and heartless, unappeasing, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Avoid such people. Now, that description sure sounds like most present-day Republicans who are following Line 44.5, whose own mother said the one job he should never have is President of the United States. She knew him, and she knew that he was disobedient, heartless, unappetizing, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lover of pleasure rather than a lover of God. Yeah, that's why he calls this 2 Timothy rather than anybody who knows the Bible knows it's 2 Timothy, the second letter to Timothy. We're supposed to avoid such people. Now, as most of you know, I'm kind of into Southeast Asian philosophy because that's where I grew up at. Lao Tzu, the originator of the Tao, and one of the best philosophers known to mankind, states that bad people are good people's job. Good people are supposed to control, eliminate, decrease the effectiveness of bad people. Do not ignore, minimize, or deny their existence. Focus on their exposure, their deceptions, and their fallacies. Oppose them. Expose them. Deny them viable audiences. Okay. There was a song that was written by Rag and Bone Man, who looks pink. He's not. But his song was called Human. But in the song, he talks about being all of this stuff. Being unappeasing, no self-control, brutal. Don't expect him for sympathy. Don't expect him to care about you. No reciprocal friendship. Nothing. Now, for us, that describes pink people, who we consider to be not humanistic, but humanal.
Yes.
And the Hip Hop Trio got a song all about that, y'all. Listen to Shelly Kay as she sings this song called Humanal.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this, see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. But I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Take a look in the mirror. What do you see? Do you see it clearer, or are you deceived by what you believe? I'm only human after all, and you're only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Some people got the real problem. Some people out of love. Some people think I can solve it. Lord heavens above. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Don't ask my opinion. Don't ask me to lie. Then beg for forgiveness for making you cry. For making you cry. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Oh, some people got the real problem. Some people out of love. Some people think I can solve it. Lord heavens above. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. I'm only human, make mistakes. I'm only human, it's all it takes. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Cause I'm no prophet or Messiah. You should go looking somewhere. But I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Humano. Don't put your blame on Humano. I'm only human. Do what I can. I'm a woman. Do what I can. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. Yeah.
All right, Shelly K. Kendall, yes. And also the background singers are, for this particular song, Dr. Kwaku Carlisle Woods, who is the plus, and then we have Kenya, it's KK, and myself, Essie Bassett.
Right.
Yeah.
The present political cultural situation is one in which pink people hope fervently that truth will be contained by its laws, by its media, by its politicians. So, what is the truth?
Yes.
For that, you need to go into history. Mankind is 1 to 2.5 million years old. Pink people are 65,000 years old. Now think about that. 1.5 to 2.5 million, not even 100,000. So less than 20 times younger than mankind are pink people. That's the truth. They don't want to hear that. Anthropology, Homo sapiens sapiens, that's what we are. Our ancestors immigrated and went up into Europe where they met another humanoid group called Neanderthals. Now, Neanderthals were white. That's their color, white. When our ancestors interbred with them, they became pink. Pink people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. Religion. Let's see. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, the Tao, all of these are major religions on this planet. None of them are pink. None of them originated in Europe. Almost every one of them originated in Alkebulan. Pink people don't want to hear that. Science. Oh, they don't want to hear about biology. They don't want to hear about genetics. They don't want to hear about it, any science. And for the vast majority of their existence, pink people said science was evil, satanic. Why? Because it started in Alkebulan. And most of the people who wrote about it were Middle Eastern or Alkebulanese. They didn't want to hear about that. They didn't want to hear about the truth of sociology. They had this lack of appreciation and energy, and their whole culture was about murder, death, and war. They didn't want to hear about that. Psychology. Very, very little nurturing, education, or anything that built up humanity was a major part of their mindset. Their mindset was about survival and using everything and everybody else, sacrificing them if necessary so that you could survive. That was their psychology. They don't want to hear the truth about reality. They lived in a false reality and are angered by introduction of truth into that reality. We are officially engaged in a fight for the future of humankind. If we succeed, we will be leading to the future of truth. All those truths that pink people didn't want anybody, especially pink people, to understand or be led into. If we fail, we're heading into a future full of lies and alterations of what is true.
Yes.
Alternative facts, isn't that what the Republicans tried to promote during Line 44.5's presidency? That means they're not the truth. minimize the threat if you don't realize how critical this time and place are. Each of us were chosen to be right here, right now. All of you out there listening, each one of you was chosen by God, by the Most High, by whatever name you call him/her, to be right here, right now, because you were chosen to fight for humanity. If you succeed in your fight, again, a future of truth. If you do not succeed, a future of alternative facts and basically lies. We have been trained by our ancestors to be here, to do this, to lead the, how much time we got?
Yeah.
What time we looking at? Is it right now? Oh, okay, cool. All right. We have been chosen by our ancestors to sacrifice, to fight for freedom. Our ancestors sacrificed their comfort, their pleasure, their very lives, so that we could be here to fight for the freedom that we need, the independence that we desire, the achievement that is our purpose and our history. Using truth, reason, and understanding through education, not training that we're doing right now. Through education, that means being taught you. And loyalty to the ideas of a nation they gave their very lives for. Our ancestors gave their very lives for this place, the world we live in. The first, you might have heard of a guy named Crispus Attucks, 1776. Killed, the first person killed in the American Revolution was one of my Alkebulanese ancestors in the Boston Massacre. But it doesn't stop there. It continues through the War of 1812, the Civil War. No nation except the United States no nation except the United States fought a civil war with us as primary troops. You remember Glory, the movie? The 54th Massachusetts were one of many Alkebulanese units that turned the course of the war. They were only allowed in the war because the North was losing like 70 going north. And finally, Lincoln had to submit and let us in. And as soon as they let us in, the script was totally, completely flipped. Okay. But that was a continuation of what happened in 1776. But we continued to fight in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Middle East. Has there been a conflict that this nation's been in that our ancestors have not participated in? I don't think so. But a word to women. Women! Okay. Thank you, baby. Women. Why can I talk to females? Why should I be talking to women? Well, like most, I was born by one. But unlike most, I was raised in a family of 9 of them, not counting my mother. I got 9 sisters. And additionally, when I first got back to this country from Southeast Asia, my first profession was in nursing, a primarily female-dominated profession. So I've been dealing with females telling me what to do for most of my early life and listening to them because I'm really, really gullible. It is time for you to take the lead, women. It is time for you not to be owned like you were in Europe for most of your existence. It's not being a possession that you are here to do. It's to start this new path for mankind. And for everybody out there, I want you to understand This is not something that is coming up down the road. No, no. This is happening right now. So all I got to say to everybody out there listening is, people, get ready.
Ooh, 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 ooh. 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 Ooh, 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 ooh.
People get ready.
For the change you're coming.
You don't need no baggage.
Get
on board.
Ooh,
You need is faith.
to hear the diesels humming.
You don't need no ticket.
Thank the Lord.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
So people get ready.
For the change in Jordan.
Picking up passengers, coast to coast.
Ooh,
Faith is a key.
in the doors and board them.
There's room for all among the loved the most.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh,
There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner.
who will hurt all mankind.
Just to save his own.
Just feel us, y'all. Pity on those whose chances grow thinner.
For there's no hiding place against the kingdom's throne. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
So people get ready. There's a change a coming.
You
Don't need no baggage. You just get on board.
All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord.
Use your faith and just
Thank the Lord.
with appreciation you'll
Thank the Lord.
with gratitude just then
Thank the Lord.
Yes, all you need to do is thank the Lord. To find out about the truth of you, of your own understanding, go to hashtag woke and in tune. That's hashtag woke, the word N-I-N, no, hashtag woke and A-N-D, N-I-N, tune, capital T period, capital U period, capital N period. Yes.
That's it.
And you can also contact us if you would like to text us about a free introduction class to the Trivalent Understanding at 216-375-2742.
Absolutely. Back to those women. You are the most important link in providing a new basis for living. Since if you teach a man, you teach an individual. If you teach a woman, you teach a family and perhaps a nation. I would like to feature a young female writer, Anna Malika Tubbs, who wrote the New York Times bestseller, Three Mothers. how the mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin shaped a nation. Born 1890 to 1910, these three women were they were ignored by history, culture, and pink society, secondary to ignorance and the fact that women were, again, possessions to pink people. They belonged to pink men who could do whatever they wanted to with them. These mothers of these three leaders were educated. And that was so rare for Alkebulanese females. These mothers were all activists for civil rights. Malcolm's mom was the regional head of Marquis Garvey's NNIA Association. Mothers impressed on their sons independence, freedom, education. You had to get educated. Liberty, equality, and all the moral humanistic principles of the blessings of slavery that we talk about in our book. Now, our book is supposed to be right here. It ain't. We didn't bring it. Okay. James Baldwin's mother wrote for Emma Burtis Jones. I'm sorry. James Baldwin's mother is Emma Burtis Jones. She married a minister named David Baldwin. Each of these three mothers passed on knowledge and strategies. The author feared becoming a mother due to poor maternal child health numbers in America. That author is the Anna Malika Tubbs. And the necessity that she think of what life would be for her child with the racism, fear, and oppression they would face in the United States that their ancestors created. Writing the story allowed her to share in the love, joy, and happiness these mothers found in much worse circumstances through their relationship with their children. She was shocked to find out that the mothers of creative and inspirational people were virtually ignored by writers, journalists, researchers, and humanity in general. She was surprised when people were surprised that she decided to focus on the essential force behind each of these revolutionary figures. She felt their erasure was very intentional, but more habit than malicious. Alberta King, MLK's mother, was raised by the leaders of Ebenezer Baptist Church and watched her parents organize protests and boycotts. She became an active member of the NAACP and Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. If you can get educated, she was taught that education is for you to help others. This is what she passed on to MLK. Louise Little, Malcolm X's mother, radical activist, Garveyite, believing in independence and black pride, passed on the need for self-identification and self-support. She didn't believe in relying on pink people. She stood up against a group of white supremacists along with her three children while she was pregnant with Malcolm. There is a direct connection between the rationale and directions of Marcus Garvey and Elijah Muhammad. That's why Malcolm said joining the Nation of Islam was a homecoming. James Baldwin's mother, Bernice Baldwin, not seen as an activist, but believed that through her writing and her love, her sharing of her view of the world, she could help other people. Her son echoed this and said about his mother, "I am witness to the power of light." Light being truth. Pink people don't have much light in their life. They have a very, very narrow view of reality that's been impressed on them by the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church forbid them from reading books about science, history, or anything else that wasn't Roman Catholic Church written and approved. They said that science was satanic. They said you cannot ever use reason in any way in school or in any argument because the Roman Catholic Church doesn't believe in it. They believe only in inspiration. Reason is not one of their things. Okay, they said no history if it has anything to do with Alkebulanese. It's only pink history that we're going to go through. No history of Asia. No, we're only going to go through the history of Europe. That's why when I went to school, the first history that we talked about was Greek history, because that was the first pink history that they wish to talk about. They don't want to talk about before the Greeks when they were barbarians living in caves and cannibalizing each other for food. No, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about no history for the Greeks. They don't want to talk about any science because most of it is non-pink. And I already told you about reasoning. Nothing but European people's life, thoughts, or fears was believed, taught, engendered throughout the history of Europe. Do you live your life based on these people? Do you live your life based on these facts? If you do, then get in line to back line 44.5, who 1 year ago was accused of rape by E. Jean Carroll, that she claims line 44.5 raped her. Then get in line to back line 44.5, who has a criminal grand jury in New York City for his company, in which the CFO was indicted on tax fraud charges. If you gonna get in line behind that, then you need to understand that he's got a criminal grand jury also in New York City for fraud, bank fraud, tax fraud, and insurance fraud. 10 years in prison as a result of that if he's convicted. He's soon going to be facing a grand jury in Georgia. He's already going to be facing it because they've already okayed the grand jury. In Georgia, the Georgia law violations include criminal solicitation to commit fraud, intentional interference with performing election duties, making false statements to state and local government bodies, violation of his oath of office, conspiracy, and racketeering. That's just in Georgia. But that's who you're backing if you don't want to back the truth, if you don't want to back mankind's history, if you don't want to back science, if you don't want to back reality. Yeah, this is what you are backing. And I didn't even get to the obstruction of justice that he was found to be guilty of in the Mueller investigation, or the January 6th commission, in which many people are being charged with sedition. He has more than 20 females that have already accused him of sexual assault, indecency, and sexual harassment. Support him and you disobey Paul's advice to Timothy. Now, that's found, according to line 44.5, in 2 Timothy. Okay. Let me go back to here and try to find something different. I'm supposed to be finding something. Line 44.5 has been line 44.5 his whole life. He's been constantly lying, constantly causing people to become violent. We have at least 3 different campaign stops in which he asked people to punch people, to beat people, and he said he would pay the legal fees. Yeah, this is the guy that you're supposed to be backing. He's about lies and he's about hate. Hate comes from lies. To eliminate hate, you need something called brotherly love, filial love. And we're going to give you a quick lesson on that by the global entertainment rendition of Stop the Hate, featuring Miles Alexander, Keaton Smith, and me.
Hate is a flame that consumes my humanity and the humanity of anyone I direct hate at. Hate is a twisted lens that warps all reality.
I will extinguish the fires of hate with the cooling, soothing waters of filial love.
Filial love is brotherly love. It is the love that exists when you realize that you're related to another through a permanent, unbreakable bond, through a stronger, larger, more important group. Family, gang, culture, race, as a sample of humanity, or as an example of life itself. We are all related.
Yeah, I'm a G the Fiddler. And we gon' stop the hate. Yeah, 1, 2, look, it's time to man up, stand up, face up, hands up. Misleading all the children with your fears, we understand, bruh. Society made you this way, that's how you shift the blame, huh? I get it, that's probably just the way that you was raised up. But this time is different, time to give that grace up to yourself for the most high and be the one to spread love. An example for the next generation, that's what you also stop all the hate. Cause it's time for us to play our part, what part they ask every time the Fiddler hit the stage. So you know my stuff, I'm always promoting that stop the hate, stop the hate. No procrastination, no debating, that's how I'm feeling, so listen, pay attention. No, I ain't preaching. Education got me on them teachings, got me on them healing. Enabling every last one of my siblings. We all from God, it's time to build so we can beat the odds. Start the love, stop the hate so we can rise above.
It can kill your body and soul. It can turn your heart to cold. Every day you go through, yo, you must grow. So you'll be able to stop the hate and make the world a better place for all the future race. Did you know that you can start today? Stop the hate.
Stop. Hey, stop. Look, hey, stop. Yeah, look. What's wrong with the world, mama? People live a lie, they ain't got no mamas. Like Black Eyed Peas said, boy, I got a feeling that the world needs some lyrical spiritual healing for the people to love and not hate it or fear it. Now please bless me with the talents to reach the spirit, so I can penetrate the mind and all its egotistics. It help me listen more and I only just hear it, cause I know we all equal and we'll all inherit all the blessings of life if we only live it. Let's fill up the world with some better places. Might as well get it in for the future races. Wouldn't it feel so good being a generation to inspire peace upon the future nations? Imagine eliminating all the petty hatred and getting back to the basics, yeah, where the faith is. But first, stop the hate.
It can kill your body and soul. It can turn your heart to cold. Every day you go through, yo, you must grow. So you'll be able to stop the hate and make the world a better place for all the future race. Did you know that you can start today?
Let me holler at my third eye world close with precision and painting perfect pictures of new dimensions in your lenses so everybody can see the vision. There goes attention to verbal conversations that's getting heated all across the nation. We got the power to focus on a decision. Spoken through politicians, speaking out loud throughout the competition. We're up and ready for change, ain't no escape from the stain. Left up the shackles and chains that they forgot to mention. We overcame every obstacle that was laid. Prophesied through the greater documentation of our Dr. King. He had a dream that we all came to the board. Up in 40 years since the start. I think it's time to let your voices ring. Pick up your voice and let freedom ring through the notes. Everybody can vote and take a stand on what we all believe. The time has come to be praised, stand by the king, it is great. Embrace the road that was paved and let your conscience free. Our road, a man gave his life just like our Lord Jesus Christ. All that be bought with a price they didn't have to pay. The crucifixion with death tied to submission. The world still wouldn't listen, and you wonder why we need to pray. The praise.
Yes. Oh, yes. Stop the hate. That again, that was Humble G, the fiddler, and Dr. Kwaku L. Carlisle Woods, also known as Kwaku.
Absolutely, y'all. That be me. Truth. That's what today's show is about. We are straying further and further from the truth every day, every hour, and every minute, as a large group of Republicans have decided to abandon reality, history, science, facts, and instead of going just straight up for power. I just want to have power. I just want to be in control. I don't give a rat's patootie about truth, facts, reality, or anything that matters except me getting power. Exactly the things that was taught to pink politicians in the prince. Forget about kindness. Forget about empathy. Forget about all of those humanistic values that are supposed to represent the best parts of mankind. I ain't going for that. Instead, I'm going for lies. I'm going for deceptions. I'm going for fraud. I'm going for forgery. I'm going for everything that is illegal, immoral, and against the founding documents of this nation. That thing that we call the Constitution, they have violated time after time after time after time. And just in the past, I think maybe 72 hours, we got a new revelation in which Line 44.5 and all of his cronies were writing out a command order that he was supposed to issue, where the Department of Defense was supposed to go and snatch all of the voting machines. Yeah, we don't care about the fair election that your own Attorney General said occurred. You tried to get him to say, no, there was some shenanigans and hanky-panky going on. Oh, no. Your own Attorney General said there was no amount of fraud that could have influenced the result of the election. Basically, this is a fair and legal election. Your own Attorney General said that.
And as Vice President Pence rejected it.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
They rejected him because right after he said that, before the term of the president was over, he resigned. And the guy that was appointed in his place was also fired because he refused to go along with the lie also, until they got somebody else that would go along with this big lie. But this big lie rests on about 752 small ones. You got to remember, Line 44.5, that's why I call him Line 44.5, because he was convicted, documented, found to be, in his 4 years, the author of more than 3,800 separate lies. This is who pink people want as their leader. A guy who has no moral, spiritual, humanistic basis ever, and has always been a liar, a sexual predator, very, very, very unintelligent. He didn't like intelligence. He didn't even like intelligent people unless they were working for him and would follow his lies. But that's who he was long before he ever attained the office of president. This is nothing new to anybody who has ever been acquainted to Line 44.5. He is not a whole person. Again, his mother knew that. Most of his family knows that. Not counting his two sons and his daughter. They seem to go along not only with his lies, but with being a liar. Okay.
Now his niece was it Nancy Trump that wrote the book, and
Right.
also
His niece wrote the book
verified.
and verified everything that I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is not my opinion. This is what I found from looking for the truth.
Ashe.
This was something that is available to anyone who is looking for the truth. Those of you who support line 44.5, you have never been looking for the truth. Instead, you want to accept something that makes you feel good about being you. You want to accept something that makes you feel good about being pink and supporting somebody who supports pinkness. I don't want to hear nothing about Alkebulan. I don't want to hear nothing about Asia. I don't want to hear nothing about history. I don't want to hear nothing about science. I don't want to hear nothing about any reality that isn't the one that I make up. And the one I make up is the one that everybody should be following. This is line 44.5. Now, I'm a lot of things. I'm a merry marching Marvel maniac. And I've been following Marvel comic books since 1964. Even before they were Marvel, I followed Timely Comics before they did that. Another thing is I'm a Trekkie. I have watched Star Trek in one episode and one venture for most of my life. And my wife and I are following Star Trek Discovery right now. We're on the second season, about episode, I want to say 13. I heard something that I would like to leave y'all with right now on Star Trek Discovery. And that is a statement that was made by the young Spock to his sister. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This was by the admiral to the gay doctor who just got being brought back to life after being dead. And she told him, basically, the only way to create a new path is to walk it. And I would say that to all of our listeners. The only way to create a new path is to walk a new path. We cannot walk the path of line 44.5 and expect it to be new or different or enabling. He has disabled most of the functions of this nation in the 4 years that he was there. Healthcare, military, police, social services, just the unity of this nation. He has destroyed all of that. And we need to stop it so that we can find a new future. A future that is hard, but it is a future that is truth.
Yes.
Now, my nephew, Tootie T, had a problem with other folks doing truth. They were supposed to be funkin', and they did not understand that funk started out by another Ohio group, George Clinton and P-Funk All-Stars, was supposed to be about higher states of mind, enabling states of spirit. No, most of the people that Tootie talks about, they talking about money and women and disrespecting mothers and females, and he has a problem with that. I have a problem with that too, because again, they're not being humanistic. They're being humanal and thinking that that's cool. No, it ain't. So before we get into my nephew Tootie T's song, my wife and I want to first wish you peace, which stands for proper education always corrects error. So now listen to my nephew and me doing his song called How Can You Funk?
Turns out a whole generation's being written off. Lay back, I got a message from my homies who said they wanna funk. But the funk, you gotta brush up on these guidelines. First off, you don't need cricket sidelines. No, you don't have to be a scholar, leader, lawyer, soldier, Mac that or teacher. Now, I'm not asking you to be no saint, but you gaming and claiming to be what you ain't. Yeah, I know your story said you started out early growing up. As a boy, you didn't play with toys. Had a gas stuck in your face at an early age. Let it change the way you think, put you in a rage. How can you fuck when you're jacking and ripping? Co-hitting the blunt, know you're straight up tripping. Whatever happened to your self-respect? When somebody asks you, you put them in check. How can you fuck? How can you fuck? How can you fuck when the knowledge that's best to solve all your problems you don't even possess? Walking around in the make-believe world, no patience for growth, so you start flipping girls. Say you wanna fuck now, you want the cars to dine, so you score it in pounds. Putting your life on the line, living in ruins, just what the man wants you to be doing. How can you fuck when the fame you claim, because of your aim, leaves other brothers lame? They got a something on pesticides, but it's genocide, labeled homicide. How can you fuck when you quit before you start? Wanna take the easy way, cause you really got no heart. Low down scamming, slipping, shamming, scheming, dreaming, wishing for what? How can you fuck? How can you fuck? How can you fuck when the system is whack? Yet you know all of that, still you're caught in the act. Down in your body and dismissing the thoughts of ever being think that everybody's God. When in the hell are you gonna understand? If you wanna take the man, you got to come up with a plan. Seems already that it looks like a route, cause a man's got a fix, so we take ourselves out. Everybody all seem the same. They all wanna fuck, still they play those games. Run around tripping, messing with this crap. Your day's a number, you're dead and headed 6 feet under. Disrespecting people, you don't even care. You wanna yank all of your homeboys if they give you a stare. Got an attitude, drama, cause you're back in the line. What a waste of a mind, how can you fuck?